So we're going to talk about timing the market. Can it be done? Is it worth it?
I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Okay.
As a realtor, I think I'm supposed to say you can't, but I do think somewhat you can time the market just based on history.
Why, as a realtor, are you supposed to say you can't?
I think it's reckless to say you can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I feel as a mortgage agent as well. Because there's a lot of things when I entered the industry that people were like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. A lot of those things did happen, which is pretty impressive. But then when we tried to create strategies to mitigate the effects of those predictions, it didn't work out as well. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take it back a couple years. COVID, our favorite topic that seems to have changed the world.
COVID.
And you said I'm not funny. So what happened in March 2020? So we had interest rates at like 3.45.
Yeah, which is historically where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and likely that's kind of the ballpark range that we think interest rates will return to once we start having some interest rate drops. But what happened back in March 2020 was, because of lockdowns and these waves that we were going through, they thought that there was going to be an economic crash.
Yep.
So they did continuous rate drops. In fact, they dropped the rate by like 1.5% over the course of a month.
Yep.
And they thought that that would mitigate the effects and avoid having like too much of a recession happen too quickly.
Yeah, because everybody was in panic mode.
Yeah.
They're like, what's the future? How long is this going to be? They saw what was happening across the seas and they thought it was going to happen here. They were panicking. They were selling. And then, everyone's needs completely changed too.
100%. So what happened once the interest rates dropped was, what they expected would happen when the interest rate dropped would be that the middle class would start spending on upgrading their homes, because we're spending a lot more time in our homes. That kind of became our sanctuary. And it just made sense to make it a more enjoyable place to live.
Yep. Everybody wanted a bedroom to be an office now. Everybody wanted their backyards to be a park because you couldn't go outside. You're stuck with your family. You needed extra space.
Exactly. And so they expected people to start taking on loans to start upgrading their homes, or they expected people to move out of these smaller homes and move into bigger homes, or to move out of the city.
Yep.
And because of that, I think that played a huge role in condo prices dropping.
Yeah, exactly. And not just condo prices dropping in the city, but the price of single family homes outside the city went up huge.
Right.
Like nobody would have predicted that much of an increase in home prices.
Yeah. So, you were there during that time. I remember those long nights, the bidding wars.
Yep.
Insane deals being made way over asking.
Yep. You know what the funny thing is? We just as an investor mindset, we were purchasing when COVID hit in April, when the market just completely went down. We got homes less than $500K in Ajax, and this is like a bungalow.
Wow.
And then by the time we closed and renovated and sold in August, we were making $200K net profit, because that's how much the market had picked up in just a couple of months from just a few interest rate drops.
Yeah. So yeah, the interest rates definitely play a huge role in demand, in how hot the market is.
Yeah, purchasing power.
Yeah. And so when Tiff Macklem said that we were made a pledge that the Bank of Canada would not raise rates until like 2023, people thought they had the world was their oyster.
Yeah.
Real estate was their playground, that they were going to keep seeing these profits go higher and higher and higher for years to come.
Yep.
And so a lot of people made the mistake of not getting a fixed rate.
Yep.
Or for a 5-year term at that point in time.
Yep.
Right. They actually got variables.
Yep.
And then they didn't fix their variables in a timely manner. So they actually, a lot of people are paying double what they were paying at the beginning of their term.
But see, this is why I say I think you can somewhat time the market, because I think the banks did do that. They were predicting this, and that's why they were pushing a variable rate last year, beginning of 2023. They were pushing variables, and they were pushing. Well, now they were pushing fixed at the end of last year because they know the rates were going to go down, right? So that just goes to show you banks know more than they let on. And this is why the consumer needs to be aware.
I'm smiling because I'm so glad that you understand that, because I think the hardest part of my job is explaining to people, stop getting attracted to the interest rate.
Yeah.
It's a trap, right? Yeah. And this is like the best way I can explain it. When you have a complicated decision to make that has a lot of factors involved in it, a person who doesn't know what they're talking about will always get caught up in the most simplest metric. And in this case, people are going to be like, what's the lowest interest rate?
Yep.
Right? But it's a trap, right? It's a way to attract you into something that you don't know is actually setting you up for failure in some ways. Yeah. Right? A bank has the most brilliant minds working for them. Mm-hmm. They know what to do to get you into a situation so that they can continue to make money off of you.
The most money for years and years to come down the line. They've planned that far ahead.
100%. They know what's going to be happening in the next 5 years and how to maximize profits. And that is their goal. Yeah. Right? You need to understand that the bank is looking at profits, right? So trust somebody who's actually in your corner and looking out for your best interest when they say, don't get caught up in the interest rate. Yeah. Right. So anyways, that's my little rant. So another thing that was happening back then was a lot of people were buying pre-construction.
Yep. And the lineups out the door for pre-con.
Yeah. And I think what I remember is that it was pretty trendy, and maybe it's still pretty trendy, to buy pre-con and then do an assignment sale.
Yeah. It's trendy now because people don't have the funds to close. So that's why there's so many assignments. But if compared to, let's say, 2021, 2022, assignments were selling pretty fast. And that was unheard of, because to me, usually people won't purchase assignments because you can't see it and you're purchasing something that somebody else did when they could have just gone to the builder directly. Mm-hmm. So it's surprising, though, they were selling crazy then.
Yeah. So just to make it clear for the audience, what people were doing is that they were purchasing a pre-con that would likely be done in a couple years. Yep. And then they were putting down a deposit, and there's usually like a structured deposit. So you pay it in installments over a course of time. But once that property has appreciated or that project has appreciated, then they sell it for a profit. And so it's a quick way to make tens of thousands of dollars really, really quickly.
Yes.
Right. And it doesn't really cost you anything, and you're not really obligated to do anything.
Yeah. Your mortgage payments wouldn't have started.
Exactly. So it's a great way to make a lot of money. But what happens when the value of that condo drops because house prices are dropping or the condo prices are dropping, and you're not able to sell it for the profit that you thought you were going to make? In fact, you're selling it at a loss.
I think that's the situation most people are in right now.
Yeah. They're not qualifying in a higher interest rate environment.
Yep.
And they need to put down more down to get that 20% down.
Yep.
So they're kind of stuck, and now their projects are complete. They're paying occupancy fees.
Yep.
Or they're going to have to rent it out, but they're renting it out probably not enough to cover that mortgage payment.
Would not even cover the occupancy fees, because that's based on the current interest rate, right? And property tax for these new builds, property tax is really high. You're paying the maintenance, and the rent actually went down. If you look at it this year, rent actually went down. Mm-hmm. So there's no way they're recovering the amount that it cost to carry a mortgage, and they're probably in a private right now.
Yeah. And I think we've seen a couple of situations where people are in pretty dire situations with the certain private loans that they've taken. And so do you think right now is a good time for people to maybe purchase like newly built condos, or are there deals to be found?
There are deals to be found, only because the builders are offering such crazy incentives that I think by the time that they're built, you're actually probably going to be in a positive. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually push pre-construction unless it's an amazing project, but they're offering 2-year rental, free rental guarantees. They're offering 2-year free maintenance, right? They're giving cash back on closing. They're giving you trips, right?
Can you explain what like a 2-year rental guarantee means?
So basically they're saying you purchase now, by the time when you close for the next 2 years, they're going to ensure that you get, they'll give a fixed amount depending on the unit, the type of unit. Let's say 1 bedroom, they'll say you'll get guaranteed $2,400 a month we can guarantee you're going to get this for the next 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Right. So sometimes they give you just one check at the end of closing. They'll just give you a check for the 2 years and you do whatever.
Oh, wow. So they're even, I guess, like developers are kind of in a situation where no, that's actually true. I think I've read somewhere that only like 10,000 condo units were or condo units were sold this year or something, which is like the worst performance in a decade.
Yeah. And
so
it's because, like we said in our last episode, right, these developers are building 5 to 10 years ago. So they would have never predicted COVID would happen. And then their interest rates would go this high that they're forced to sell with all these incentives, probably maybe just breaking even, or they're trying to get rid of these things because they know down the line they can't hold on to these costs any longer.
Yeah. And going back to timing the market, obviously these developers thought that condos would always be popular, and that there would always be kind of a demand for it. But they need a certain amount of units sold to get the project off the ground.
Yeah.
And right now, consumer psychology has changed so much that people are really hesitant to start getting into pre-construction. That's why you see all those deals like buy a car, you get a free car with this when you make this purchase. You get all these incentives, right, just to get that. Realtors are getting these crazy commissions if they actually manage to sell a property in some sort of project.
They're giving you bonus commission, which you could, or they're saying you can give it to your client, right, to help them afford these, because they can't really do anything about the price. It's fixed.
It's going to cost what it costs.
Yeah.
So, and they have a certain amount of profit that they need to make. So of course, that's all they can do is just incentivize realtors to sell it, incentivize consumers to buy it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully get that project to completion. Okay, so then going back to timing the market, I mean, obviously people look at trends to try and see how they can time the market. And so are we seeing year over year that condo prices or sales are going up? Is it like are you actually making any sort of profit on it? Or is it just, it's still pretty low?
So right now, condo prices are still much lower than they were in 2022, 2021.
Okay.
I'm getting deals where I'm getting 100, 150K under what they purchased back in 2022. Wow. So condos are selling though. They're moving now much better than they were last year, but it's still not hit that price at all.
Mm. So it's so right now is the time to kind of find that steal or like that deal of a lifetime.
Yeah. But even if we find that deal, with that huge, discount that you're getting, if you do the calculations, the monthly cost of that is still much higher. You will still not even break even. You'll still be at a negative in a condo.
True. That's true. I mean, it really just comes down to interest rates.
Yeah. And I know everyone who got their mortgage rates at 2021, 2022 fixed, their renewals are coming up.
Yeah. A lot of renewals are coming up in June, and those people are not going to be, especially if they were on a fix, they're in for a huge surprise.
Yeah, I don't think they'll qualify at these current rates.
Yeah, and it's going to make it difficult for them to shop around, to switch to another lender or to refinance, or it's going to be very difficult. So they're going to have to just renew at those really high rates, again, for the bank to make profit.
What I would say is I think the bottom has happened. Mm-hmm. So we're at the come up now. So who was trying to time the market, you missed it. You probably got to buy now at the come up. Mm-hmm. But I still think if you buy now, amazing purchase. I looked at the stats from TREB. In the last 5 years, no region in all of TREB has been negative.
Wow.
None. Wow. Yeah.
So we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. So even with the hits 5 years, you're not going to make a loss.
Yeah. And to be honest, you don't actually need the interest rates to drop, right? It's just psychology. If people anticipate a drop, those house prices will go up,
which is what we're seeing.
And so, yeah, we're like right now, you might think like, okay, I have some time until the rate drop, and then, I'll purchase then or something, or before then. But if thousands of people are thinking like it's gonna drop, they're already out there looking. So your competition is already out there, and you're likely going to start seeing some bidding wars soon.
Yeah. And what do we always say? Date the rate, marry the price.
Yeah, it's so true, because that balance on that loan is going to be the biggest indicator of your financial security. in years to come. So
Yep.
better to just get the house at the lowest price, even if it's at a higher interest rate.
Okay. I think that was fun to talk about real estate in the market. You know, I love talking about how the market is, but
I think my brain is turning into mush with how much we talk about real estate. So, but I do want to hear what everybody else wants us to talk about, what they're interested in. So leave a comment about what your topics or what topics of interest that you have or what you'd like us to break down for you. And
don't forget to like, share, and comment how you like this video. And make sure you hit the notification bell where we'll be posting more frequently.
all right, we'll see you in the next one.